Hi everybody. I had just started making a video and had a sneezing attack, so I had to stop and start over again. So in the event that you see me sneeze all over the screen, it's because the super is outside cutting the grass, I guess for the last hurrah before the winter. And I don't know why it's affecting me worse today than it does even in the summertime. Spring is usually when I get hit the hardest, and I don't know, past, I don't know, half hour or so, it's just been getting crazy. But anyway, I went for my upper GI series this morning, and I figured I would just give an idea to people who might be looking towards having to take that test. Um, the reason I was having it was because when I had first gone for my endoscopy, um, they had found ulcers, so the doctor had found ulcers. And he put me on Prilosec. And then a few days later, we got the results back regarding the H. pylori, which is a bacteria that apparently is what causes ulcers, or at least supposedly in about 90% of the people who have ulcers, it comes from this H. pylori bacteria. Now, the disgusting thing about knowing you have this bacteria is that it comes from fecal matter. You've ingested fecal matter at some point in your life. Now, I'm 46 years old. I've eaten out plenty of times. I've eaten over people's houses that, I've thought about their food preparation after the fact. Um, and won't eat there anymore. So it wasn't really a shock to me to hear that I had H. pylori. It was a shock to hear that I had ulcers, though, because I've never had any symptoms. I mean, an occasional pain in the stomach, but never to think that it was ulcers. I just figured, something I ate was the problem. And as a matter of fact, the surgeon had even said, how is your, when I went back to him for the follow-up, he said, well, how is your acid reflux? And I said, I've never had acid reflux. People always just think, hey, you're fat, you have acid reflux. I don't. I don't have acid reflux. Anyway, so as a result of the H. pylori diagnosis, I had, I can't stand. What does that go to black for? Okay. Um, as a result of the H. pylori diagnosis, I had to go on a regimen. It's called a Prev pack, but I didn't take the actual Prev pack. The Prev pack, I was told by the pharmacist, was going to have, for me with my coverage, a $135 copay. Um, yeah, that wasn't good. So he said, he would find out if he could break down the components to get it cheaper. Anyway, it wound up costing me $15 for the same exact thing that I would have gotten for $135 just because it's called a Prev pack. So I took that for 2 weeks. It consisted of I think it was a 500 milligram Bioxin, and 250 milligram amoxicillins, which you had to take twice a day. So basically, it was like 1,000 milligrams of amoxicillin a day, and the 500 milligrams of Bioxin, and Prevacid twice a day. Twice a day, yeah. So I took that for 14 days. Uh, and hopefully that killed whatever needed to be killed. Ugh. So then I continued on the Prilosec. I had a appointment that was a little too far away, considering I've been cleared for everything else. So I was lucky enough to get an appointment yesterday. We did the follow up, which basically was just a waste of another $50 copay. I know it sounds like I just talk about money, but we changed coverage in August. And so from what I'm accustomed to paying and what I'm now forced to pay, it's ridiculous. The money just keeps, coming and coming and coming. So there goes the allergy, sorry. So yeah, so that was a $50 visit again where this man, I didn't even shake his hand. He didn't touch me. He didn't come near me. He didn't do anything. He just looked at the x-rays again on the screen, and he showed me one area. It kind of looked like a peppermint candy. It was like a circle, and then there were some pinkish red spots. And that was the ulcers apparently. So he anticipates that it's cleared up. He gave me clearance only because I really pushed him. Look, I need this sheet. And I realized afterwards, yeah, it's not really going to help me. I have to get him to do it again because I'm not really cleared. And God forbid something goes wrong. The ulcers, I'll find out whether they're gone. That was a test I took today. So let me stick to the subject. What am I up to already? 5 minutes. Um, the upper GI series, I was fortunate enough to get an appointment this morning. So I've basically been doing stuff back to back. And I was a little nervous. I watched somebody else's video on YouTube. Her name is Danielle. I don't remember again her screen name all completely. Something D something something whatever. That's not nice, but all I know is she was pregnant in April, so she probably had the baby by now. So if anybody knows who I'm talking about, I just know the name is Danielle. And she had explained the procedure that she went through. So I was nervous. Just the thought of swallowing something kind of makes me ready to vomit, except if it's food, of course. So I decided I'd go there with a clear head, knowing that I had to do it. I kept convincing myself, look at all these really old people. They can do it, so surely I can do it. It can't be that terrible. Kind of like childbirth. You don't look forward to it, but you get over it. So anyway, oh boy, I went there this morning. Of course, nothing to eat after 12 o'clock last night. Nothing to drink. Went there this morning. Um, and they start off with it's like a little sort of like a children's liquid medicine cup that had water in it. I want to say it was probably about a tablespoon of water because when I looked at that I was like, I haven't had anything to drink all day and you're gonna give me that little thing. But it actually wasn't really to drink. It was they mixed these crystals into the water, and the way it was described to me ahead of time was similar to an Alka-Seltzer. I've never taken Alka-Seltzer, so that was going to be a new experience. But I'm trying to think what I'm talking about. But yeah. Oh, the text said, imagine as if you drank 2 cans of soda at this, one after the other. That's the feeling of bloatedness that you would have. So I'm thinking, piece of cake, because I drink soda like there's no tomorrow. Not anymore, but I was. And so, what is 2 cans of soda gonna do? Then I realized, wait a minute, but you don't drink them back to back. And the note on the side was the text said, "Listen, don't burp." So I was like, "Oh, okay," because when I drink soda, things like to bubble their way out. So, um, anyway, I took the little shot. That's what he said, drink it like a shot. I was like, well, that was simple enough. And then came the glue. He told me that it had the consistency of paint. He was right. It's exactly like paint. It's not like glue. It's like paint. It is thick, disgustingly thick. It's oh, somebody's getting a commercial on the TV. It's it's thick. I won't say it's disgusting because it wasn't pleasant, but it wasn't something that you got in your mouth and it was okay. It was okay. It seemed that towards the end of the swallow there was some sort of citric want to taste like it's something, I don't know. But it was okay. It was basically like drinking paint. And the thing that happened was they tell you take a swallow, and then take a swallow, and then take a swallow. By the third swallow, boom, you've had enough swallowing. And on top of that, the machine that you go into, the way Danielle had explained it, it sounded more like I had gone into an open MRI once, and it had this little platform that you stand on. Well, this one that I went to, it wasn't like that. You stood against, basically, if you've ever had like a chest X-ray or something, it's like that metal white kind of thing, and so it's like a big board, and then there's I don't call it a pallet. There's like the actual X-ray screen on the other side. So they tell you to go in between, and I look at in between, and I think of my in between, And I look at the in between. I'm like, oh, I don't think this is gonna work too well. Um, and I get pissed off right away again because fat girls, it's just not made for us to be able to do all of these different kinds of testing. Because they spend millions of dollars on these machines. They're older. Um, and unless you go to some place that's state of the art, brand new, and where I went is absolutely fine. It's a very nice place, but I think that now they have uh, machinery in the newer places that are more equipped to handle people over, 250 pounds, 300 pounds. So, sorry, that was gross, but I'm not going to start over again. So anyway, I just kept measuring it in my mind, saying, "Oh, this is not going to work." But I stood there, kind of angled my way in, and I stood there, and they said, "Well, the arm can't come out. It doesn't move like that, so it's just going to go up and down. And so long if it touches you, it's fine. If it squeezes you, let them know because then it's useless." So, and she said, "We'll just cancel the test because they have something else that they could use instead." And I was like, "Frig that! I already drank this crap. We're just gonna keep going." So anyway, I did that part. It was, ugh. Anyway, then when I was done with that, this is the funny part. You lay on the table, the same thing that you stood up against. Now they put the table down. You don't ride with it. You just, step out of the way. They lower it, and then you lay down, and that would be similar to regular testing where they have the X-ray machine above you. And the thing is that once you get up there, they want you to basically roll from your back. You wait a few seconds to your side. You wait a few seconds to your stomach. You wait a few seconds to your other side, and then you wind up back on your back. And the reason for that, the tech told me, was because they're trying to paint your stomach. That's why it tastes like paint. And I had said, well, if you would have told me that, I would have just stood up and moved around like, a hula hoop. And we could have got the same effect instead of climbing all over the table. But anyway, that was done. They did the x-rays. There didn't seem to be a problem at all. Move to this side, move to that side, whatever. And then you had to get up off the table. Although for some people, they will have you laying down while you sip this next concoction. But yeah, they had me stand up. I think if I would have, because I started having a coughing fit when I had to turn on my right side. I guess from the stuff being in my stomach and I don't know, whatever. I started having a coughing fit, which kind of went against the do not burp, do not get air, because they told me don't even talk because you'll let out some of the carbonation. So, yeah, the coughing kind of screwed it up for them, I guess. So then you get up, you stand in that little thing again, and you drink from a straw. And I guess what they're actually doing is they're x-raying, your esophagus and how things go down and whatever, which is fine. And oh, that stuff there was some kind of sweetness to it that the paint tasted better. But at the same time I lived, it wasn't horrible. It was just not fun. And after I left, as I was leaving there, I started getting this funny feeling on my lip, on the inside of my lip. I don't know what the heck. And I'm talking to the doctor, and I'm like, I feel something, but whatever. Figured if she didn't pick up on it, I was just leaving. And by the time I got out to the car with my daughter, it looked like I had gotten busted in the lip. I mean, it filled up really, really big. And then I started getting worried because I'm thinking, well, if my lip swelled up, what if other things are swelling up too? Not such a good idea. But eventually, within maybe 10 minutes, it went right back down to normal, like it never happened to begin with. So that was my adventure. Now I have one more part of that thing to do, and that is the poopy test. The poopy test is to make sure that there are no more H. pylori bacteria floating around inside my stomach. So apparently, that's how they check. You poopy, you drop off the poopy, and